Hey y'all, welcome back. I apologize. I have to talk quietly because I don't want to wake up my children. So you might have to crank up your volume for this one. I apologize in advance. Hoping my headphones will help. All right, let's get into it. Genes, memories of the past environment, like genes as in your genetics and the ones that you live in. To explain how we can control our inner environment, I need to talk a bit about the nature of genes, which are expressed in the body when cells manufacture specific proteins, the building blocks of life. The body is a protein producing factory. Muscle cells make muscle proteins that are called actin and myosin. Skin cells make skin proteins called collagen and elastin. And stomach cells make stomach proteins called enzymes. Most of the cells of the body make proteins, and genes are the way that we make them. We express particular genes via certain cells making particular proteins. The way most organisms adapt to conditions in their environment is through gradual genetic modifications. For example, oh my gosh, I won't go there. For example, when an organism is faced with tough environmental conditions such as temperature extremes, dangerous predators, fast prey, destructive winds, strong currents, and so on, it is forced to overcome the adversity or the adverse aspects of its world in order to survive. As organisms record those experiences and the wiring in their brains and the emotions in their bodies, they will change over time. If lions are chasing prey that can outrun them, then by actively engaging the same experiences for generations, they develop longer legs, sharper teeth, or bigger hearts. All of these changes are the result of genes making proteins that modify the body to adapt to its environment. Also, I think it's kind of like this natural selection. So, like the lions that had the shorter legs, so therefore they were not as fast, so therefore they may have not survived, or they were not passing forward their genes. So it's just kind of like survival of the fittest. Did we already say that? Natural selection. The ones that could win are the ones that keep creating, right? Not distracting to see my headphone. Let's stay with the animal world to look at how this works in terms of adaptation or evolution. A hypothetical group of mammals migrated to an environment in which the temperature ranged from -15 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. The genes in those mammals over many generations of living under extremely cold conditions would eventually be triggered to produce a new protein, which would produce thicker and greater amounts of fur, hair, and fur proteins. Numerous insect species have evolved the ability to camouflage themselves. Some that live in trees or other foliage have adapted to look like twigs or thorns, enabling them to escape the notice of birds. The chameleon is probably the best known of the camouflagers, and it owes its color changing abilities to the genetic expression of proteins. Sounds like my ex-husband. In these processes, genes encode the conditions of the external world. That's evolution, right? Epigenetics suggests that we can signal our genes to rewrite our future. This could come in handy. Our genes are as changeable as our brains. Well, how changeable are our brains? The latest research in genetics shows that different genes are activated at different times. They are always in flux and being influenced. There are experience-dependent genes that are activated when there's growth, healing, or learning. And there are behavioral state dependent genes that are influenced during stress, emotional arousal, or dreaming. Okay, so we have experience dependent genes, and they're activated where there's growth, healing, learning. Experience dependent genes activated when there's growth, healing, learning. There's behavioral state dependent genes that are influenced during stress, emotional arousal, or dreaming. Weird that it's dreaming for the third one on that. Behavioral state dependent genes that are influenced during stress, emotional arousal, or dreaming. So that's why when my children stress me out, I my behavioral state dependent genes kick in. One of the most active areas of research today is epigenetics, literally above genetics. Okay. The study of how the environment controls gene activity. Epigenetics flies in the face of the conventional genetic model, which stated that DNA controls all of life and that all gene expression takes place inside the cell. This old understanding doomed us to a predictable future in which our destiny fell prey to our genetic inheritance, and all cellular life was predetermined, like an automatic ghost in the machine. Yeah, like what kind of hope is there? And if he says that for the hope set before him, he endured the cross, if you were to follow that line of thinking, it means that there's supposed to be something out here that's like good news. So that can't be right because like there would be no hope set before him if like we were all just doomed forever. In fact, epigenetic changes in DNA expression can be passed on to future generations, but how do they get passed on if the DNA code stays the same? While a scientific explanation is beyond the scope of this book, we can use an analogy. Let's compare a genetic sequence to a blueprint. Imagine that you start with a blueprint for a house and scan it into your computer. Then, using Photoshop, you could alter its appearance on the screen, changing a number of characteristics without changing the blueprint. For example, you could change the expression of variables such as color, size, scale, dimensions, materials, and so on. Thousands of people representing environmental variables could produce different images, but they would all be expressions of that same blueprint. Thousands of people represent, okay, yeah, this is good. Could produce totally different images, but they would all be expressions of that same blueprint. Fascinating. That's what it means when it says that he's no respecter of persons. Like that analogy right there is what that is saying. Like he didn't pick people to be special. He didn't pick people to be condemned. He didn't pick people being like, this one's the winner. But once again, that level of responsibility and also power freaks out religion. So like we don't want people to like know that because A, maybe they don't trust the people and they're like, we need them to like get in here, which and there's something valuable for that. I always pray, don't give me the wealth if it's gonna break me, like don't give me something I can't handle, especially if it's gonna like break my soul. That was my biggest thing on because of that passage of like what's all this if you trade your soul for it? Like, yeah, this stuff is great and he longs for us to have it and like we should have it. We should have it more than they should have it. The oppressors, like we definitely should be having it. But that's what he's saying. Like if your heart isn't right and ready, then the oppressors are what happen because they become so greedy and it instead of them having it, it has them. And now they're doing things, immoral things that they can't freaking fathom because they are obsessed with obtaining the thing, right? Okay. So I was always like, don't give it to me till till I can handle it, till my soul is in a position where it can handle it. They would all be expressions of the same blueprint. This is the other thing. So, we're all expressions of the same blueprint. Ooh, this is hitting heavy. Yes, um, because it says that we're all made in the image of God. But here's the thing is I believe that it's not so much about like when it says that all are called and few are chosen, it's not because he's just up there being like, I don't want to pick everybody or that like the universe is unfair. It's literally like many are called, pretty much like many as in all are called, but few make themselves choosable. Many, um, few make themselves choosable in terms of just doing the work. Like, think about how many people you know that there's hopefully a lot of us that are doing personal development, like bettering yourself, like not just being satisfied with the same version of you that you've always been in terms of your vices and stuff. Not that you should change who you are, your good self, but like if things got a hold of you, if you drink too much, if you party too much, like if you need to grow up, if you need to freaking learn how to budget, like these are just things like these are responsibility, growing, becoming an adult, like those things. So anyway, everybody is given the chance. And then, yeah, we can't necessarily say that at this point that we all have the same starting line. But if we believe what this book says, and if we start to get creative with the concepts, like the idea of prayer to the past, you know, it's like, what if we prayed then for our lineage in the past? And maybe we don't try and do the full butterfly effect of like praying that things didn't happen at all, but what if we prayed that that thing that happened to great grandma didn't destroy her in the way that it did. So therefore she wasn't like utterly destroyed trying to raise kids, you know, or and maybe there are things that we do want to try and pray just never happen. But like what if we just prayed shalom, nothing missing, nothing broken to our lineage or anything that we know of or anything that we don't know of, and just see how that ripple effect moves through time. Maybe we'll notice, maybe we won't notice. I don't know. It's an experiment. Like, what if we all just took a time right now and say that according to the revelation that we are acquiring about belief and faith, and maybe this is gonna have to be like a whole seed, soil, water, spa moment, like that I need to go create, like so that we have time to A, relax into the moment, B, get the feelings up because you have to like, it has to be both. Remember, heart, mind, coherence to create the magnetic vibe that will then link to the divine kind of thing. Because think about it, even just like just think of it in the example of music, like a low vibe song. I wrestle with this all the time, by the way. I feel like I have a whole album in me about betrayal and about the pain and about I was just thinking about a song I would write about every picture that was never taken because he's not here. Like that's deep. Like every picture that wasn't taken of me and my kids, we got fucking robbed. And of him and his kids, he got robbed. Like we got robbed here by this whole thing and the way it played out. And like I notice every single picture that isn't taken that should have been taken because he's not here. And those are the kinds of things that like, in my opinion, are like, that's just one of the richest gifts in life is to have photos that you can look back on and videos that you can look back on at these precious moments that are ever fleeting, that don't seem significant at the time, but when you look back, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, love is felt so much deeper on the look back. Like when it comes to memories, maybe it shouldn't be that way, but it is for me. Okay. So anyway, it's just one of those things that like I have a whole album. I could, but when it comes to this stuff, I'm like, do I want to, is it good to like create something that's that low, like, would it be low vibe? You know, would it bring people down or would it give them a place to channel, outlet their pain? I don't know, to be determined. If you want to work with me, hit me up. I need some songwriting help. People that are not going to try and date me or get in my pants. Okay? Like, can we just write music, please? Can we please just write music? Like, and not objectify my body or my being. Can we just write music, please? So if you know a guy or a better yet, a girl, you know, what's crazy though is I've never written music. No, I might have written music with one girl. Anyway, okay. So I digress. This is one of those evenings. This should probably be more of like a podcast. So if you like this rambly style of talking that's happening right now, check out my audio series called Flower and Fire because it is very much on this vein where I just go with the flow with the capital F, flow, and I just kind of let it go through. So anyway, back to this though. Maybe I'll make a whole experience, like a meditation experience for this moment of us, right? Like releasing shalom, declaring shalom over the past. It's like, why do it? I don't know. Why not? If we have the idea to do it, it says prophesy according to your revelation. So that's a Bible thing. And what that means is just like if you have the idea for it and if you have the belief for it and if you have the revelation, like, so this isn't just me like being like, oh, it would be fun and nice to say good things. It's like, no, I see like there's a formula here. So I have the revelation that there's a formula. There's all the science behind what happened. And so why wouldn't we take an opportunity to do that, right? So, and I just think about when it comes to like my family. So for me, raising kids right now, I'm doing the darndest best that I can, but I also see my like learned behavior, things that were modeled for me, as well as just everything that's missing from my toolbox because it was missing from their toolbox and it was missing from their toolbox. So it's just like, man, what if we prayed that somehow through our lineage they would miraculously like have encountered somebody that would have given them the tools that they were missing, or that they would have caught the revelation to like, and also that they would have caught the self-control to freaking develop emotionally and you know, have had that opportunity to do things under that additional like strength of healthy emotional regulation and without that trauma, like without that wounding, without that pollution from like family um toxic family modeling, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, let it be so, and let it be so for me, for my children, and for everyone that came before us. Like if we all were to pray that, I just see it as like this ripple effect, kind of like an electric zing line that's like a light that is anyway, okay. Epigenetics empowers us to think about change more profoundly. The epigenetic paradigm shift gives us free will to activate our own gene activity and modify our genetic destiny. For the sake of example and simplification, when I talk about activating a gene by expressing it in different ways, I will refer to turning it on. In reality, genes don't turn on or off. They are activated by chemical signals and they express themselves in specific ways by making various proteins. Just by changing our thoughts, feelings, emotional reactions, and behaviors, for example, making healthier lifestyle choices with regard to nutrition and stress level, we send our cells new signals and they express new proteins without changing the genetic blueprint. So while the DNA code stays the same, once a cell is activated in a new way by new information, the cell can create thousands of variations of the same gene. We can signal our genes to rewrite our future. Maybe I should leave this one here and pick it up on the next one. Be blessed, be well, be free. Remember to do all the things. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm Brittany. This is Seed Soil Water. Please save this video to a playlist so that you have it for the future. It also helps the channel if you save videos to a playlist. Save my playlist that I'm making for you. Also, please send this to a friend or to anybody that you know is into personal development, and let's do this whole thing together. Okay, be blessed, be well, be free.